Today, it finished 2 apiece at the Amex, where Danny Welbeck had Brighton in front. Salisu own goal had Brighton 2 up before 2 goals from James Ward-Prowse. Yes, 1 free kick brought them level. He's now got 9 for the season. And Burnley in that crunch game at Turf Moor, beating Europe-chasing Wolves by 1-0. A win and then a draw and then consecutive wins for Burnley under Mike Jackson-Vydra with the goal today. And that was crucial because it saw Everton slipping into the bottom 3. Earlier, Chelsea edging the London derby by 1-0. And Liverpool finally seeing off Everton by 2-0. You can scan that QR code and it will take you straight to the Sky Sports app, where you can catch up on all of the action from all 4 of today's games. So where does that leave us? As you were. Manchester City out in front, 80 points. Liverpool tucked in behind on 79, and with a goal difference which is 4 better. 5 games left in the title race for both those teams. Well, it's looking edgy, isn't it, for Everton now? That victory for Burnley saw them into the bottom 3 for the first time since December 2019, and that is where they will stay this evening. 2 points behind their relegation rivals, 2 points from safety. Leeds being drawn into this picture as well, and we'll see them in action at Crystal Palace tomorrow night. Graeme Souness and Kevin Campbell will give us more of their thoughts in just a moment. Down come the nets at the Kop end, which caught those 2 Liverpool goals, which have settled this Merseyside derby, the 60th that we have seen in the Premier League. 18 attempts from Liverpool in the end to Everton's 9, and 15 of those came in the second half, including all 4 on target. Let me draw your eye to possession as well. 83% from Liverpool, the second highest on record, and therefore it follows that Everton's 17%, the second lowest on record. Souness and Kevin Campbell. Jamie Carragher couldn't get here quick enough this afternoon. Might have been different if they not scored those 2 goals in the second half. What was different about the second half?
They kept plugging away. In a game like that, Everton had the game plan to sit in. Really, don't take part in the game. We'll try and nick it. The stats tell you that 17% possession Everton had. So they didn't want to take Liverpool on in a game of football. The goalkeeper launched at every opportunity. Generally, when you watch Liverpool play, when the team has possession, they'll lose it, and that's when they're vulnerable. Because when they have possession, 2 or 3 players run forward trying to get in possession to get on the ball, and then they'll lose it, and the Liverpool are at you. That didn't happen today with Everton. They just sat in there. And the young winger got a couple of times, Anthony Gordon, a couple of times down the left-hand side on the break. I think Liverpool at half-time, they would have just, I think, Jurgen would have said to them, do not allow yourself to get involved in the argy-bargy stuff that started to develop in the game. That would suit Everton. We would lose our focus. And I just think Liverpool kept plodding away. And when you've got that much of the ball, it's a hard ask for the team who's defending inside the box for that amount of time to be fully concentrated for the 90 minutes. And someone just loses a concentration for a brief moment, they get half a yard, an opening develops, and they get a goal. And I think for Liverpool, they found a way. You said during the commentary, they have to find a way. That's what the top teams do. They find a way. Did
anything change for Everton, Kevin, at half-time? Because they surrendered only 3 shots to Liverpool in that first half, 15 in the second.
Yeah, 15 in the second. I think what happened was Liverpool played with more urgency in the second half. Also, I think Everton were fine at the beginning of the second half, but it was those substitutions that made a real difference. Going 4 up top, the space and the extra men that you have at the back, all of a sudden they've got to mark somebody. That's how you get Robertson in on the overload for the first goal. But Divock Origi being able to show himself for Mo Salah, get a 1-2, cross comes in. Everton are all marked, but Robertson comes in free. That's the big problem. And then once you're down, you're always going to find it difficult here.
The man of the moment, Divock Origi, what was different? Was it just that he was a focal point?
I think the fact he and Klopp went to a front 4, basically, and Kevin's just mentioned then Liverpool found an overload at the back post. Now, obviously, somebody switched off, but the fact they had so many numbers in and around the box, and I kept mentioning it through commentary, the only person I felt could do something today was Mo Salah. Because the left-back for Everton on that side, he was playing so narrow, letting the ball go out wide, and he was dealing really well with them 1v1. And what Mo Salah was trying to do, I'm sure you would have seen it down here, he was just trying to punch the ball into people. You remember the one first half, he played it into someone, got it and tried to have his shot. He was continually trying to do that throughout the game. And they just weren't working the combinations. There were too many players around the ball for Everton. They're really compact. And he just plays it into Divock Origi. He keeps it, and then Mo Salah obviously produces the ball to the back post. But just having that focal point, that almost target man player to bounce the ball off made a huge difference. And again, the difference from the bench is night and day to what Liverpool had 3 or 4 years ago.
It's not a bad luxury to have, is it? When you have so many options.
But that's what makes them a special team. You know, one person has a bad day, someone else steps up to the plate. Liverpool carry a real threat now. They can bring them on from the bench. Generally, they don't have to. You know, they're scoring goals without resorting to that. But they've got some fabulous players up front, special players that are all capable of getting goals from nothing. And they've got a workaholic midfield. We didn't see Thiago today because it was, you know, the whole thing was congested a lot more than it was on Tuesday against Man United. And the back four were never worried, other than I thought Trent had a bit of a stinker in the first half. And young Anthony Gordon caused him some problems. But by and large, I mean, I come back to the stats, 17% tells you how Everton approached the game. They didn't want to take Liverpool on in a game of football, and that's the correct way because Liverpool, they're so good at this moment in time. But, you know, when you break it down, I think Liverpool, it was a case of, yeah, they didn't score early, so it gave confidence to Everton. They didn't score until the second half, so for the first 45 minutes, Everton were looking solid and compact and believing in what they were doing. But I come back to it, you have to concentrate for 90 minutes in football. And sooner or later, if you're playing that deep and if you bring the team onto you all the time, it's Everton where an opening will happen. Someone will go to sleep.
We'll see that goal in just a second, but Kevin, you talked about the fact that having the option to go 4-2-4 really unsettled Everton. But do you think it's significant, Jamie, that he did that after an hour? Sometimes we see changes like that, drastic 4 up top, the last 5 minutes, the last 10 minutes of a game, but with half an hour still to go.
But Everton played the whole game like there was 5 minutes to go and they were winning 1-0 or hanging on for 0-0. So I think it was really good from Jurgen Klopp to make that change so early and be so bold. I didn't expect that. I just thought Diaz was coming on, just be a normal swap with one of the front three. But to make that change with Origi, I think because of his record against Everton also. But I think Jurgen Klopp just saw what type of game this was going to be. And it just felt like that watching it for the first hour that Liverpool weren't going to get many chances in the game. It always felt like the chance has got to come and they've got to be patient. I was saying it in the first half and just back your attacking plays. If they get that 1 or 2 chances, they're going to deliver. And that's what they did. And then the game opened up end to end and there was more shots involved. But I think a great credit to sort of Jurgen Klopp. He doesn't normally go that early, but the nature of the way Everton played, I think he had to get more bodies in the box.
Let's see the goal then. Origi bringing Mo Salah to life, if you like.
The ball slightly, hasn't he?
Yeah, who's it? Just misses the header. Was that?
Jota, I think.
Jota, yeah, it's just a little bit too high for him. He dinks it and follows it, as he always does, Mo Salah, and just a dink up, hoping someone's going to get there. And then the goalkeeper's chasing over too quick. He can't get over quick enough. He ends up running past the ball.
Kevin Jordan Pickford, doesn't he?
He does, but he unfortunately, it's a great header back across him. That's what they say. You know, if the ball's coming across to you, you head it back across the goalkeeper because one thing he has to do is try and protect his near post. So it's a really good header, but it's a sickener for Everton.
You made the point, Dave, about them going 4 up front. Everton had 17% of the ball, so it wasn't as if there was a threat from midfield. The ball was when everyone was up near the halfway line and Anthony Gordon got in a race with people. But he could go 4 up front because it wasn't a contest in midfield. They had that much of the ball.
So what is it about Origi and Everton? 6 goals he's scored against them now. His first here since 2019, the famous goal which was, I think, one of yours and one of Jurgen Klopp's favourite derby moments.
I mean, Liverpool have been so poor on set pieces all day. Everton had dealt with them really well. They had so many within the game. But when I saw this ball come in, I mean, Diaz again, he was fantastic when he came in. And sometimes you need that bit of luck. He's going for goal. But you look at the sort of bodies involved. They had so many bodies and he dealt with it so well right throughout the afternoon. Certainly the 2 centre-backs, Keane and Holgate. But listen, you get a little bit of luck. He's going for goal. Sometimes you can find yourself offside in that position, but he just times it really well. But it's just a happy knack. And it'd be really interesting listening to Jurgen Klopp's interview, whether he mentions the role of Divock Origi because it was Everton, because we haven't seen him for weeks. We really haven't. But again, you talk about the power from the bench Liverpool now have, which makes them a match for Man City in terms of squad-wise. We've always said City have had the edge, but those two players again have just killed that game.
You've seen Dele Alli and Keane not reacting, you know, to the scissor kick from Diaz. You know, Origi reacts, and then there was someone behind Origi. Watch. So it comes out here, John Henderson sticks it back in, Diaz punches it back in, which the strikers react, but they don't. They're on their heels. That's poor defending. Yeah, watch Keane, watch Dele Alli, they sort of drops back in Dele Alli. So they come out, drop back in, and then it's the strikers who react, and they don't. You know, I think it was Fabinho, he could have stuck it in if it wasn't Origi.
They're lined up at
This is a better angle.
I think that's been Everton's problem all season, where sometimes they've defended really well, and then they've gone to sleep, and it's absolutely cost them.
But I come back to it, it's a hard shift. If you're constantly under pressure, constantly playing inside your box to defend for 90 plus minutes and not make a mistake, not make a lapse in concentration. And against a top team, you will get punished.
But before any goals had been scored, there was a big moment in the second half. Early on, Anthony Gordon chasing through, and he caused problems for Liverpool on the break in the first half. Your thoughts on this, Kevin?
This is a pen for me. It's a push in the back. He's in the box, it's a push in the back now. He's nowhere near the ball, he pushes him. You see that? For me, that's a penalty. If that was at the other end, I'm sure this stadium would have gone crazy.
Of course it's a penalty if it's the other end.
Of course it is. But I just think, you know, that's the one break that Everton needed.
But don't you agree? In the first half, the young boy gets booked
for
diving. And he's got to get out of that, because right away the referee's now looking for that. And the crowd here are looking for that. So he did himself a disservice. He might have got that
surely
if he doesn't dive in the first half.
Graeme, every incident
No, he's planted a seed. He's planted a seed in the referee's head, Dave, in the very first few minutes when he dived to try to get a penalty. And you can bet, if we're players out there, we're in the referee's ear. He's a diver ref, so you're planting the seed in the ref's head as well.
He's got to be careful, Anthony Gordon. He's a local player, and I know some of his sort of friends and family, and he's a great lad, and he's a great player. One of the best players on the pitch today. He caused Liverpool massive problems. We've just got to be careful of that. It's not the first time they won in the first half, and it definitely will be in referees' heads, and maybe he hasn't got what he's deserved because of maybe a few incidents in 3 or 4 other games. But that's it. That's a stonewall penalty.
There you go. Liverpool might have been right up against it. I mean, could that have changed the game? Would we have a different story, do you think, Kevin?
Could have been. But that's the break that Everton needed in order to cement what they're doing out there for however long they kept it going. They take the lead, then maybe you put a little bit of doubt in Liverpool's mind. That's the break that Everton needed today. It didn't come. I thought the referee bottled it a little bit, if I'm honest with you. I really did. I thought that was a decision to be made. But he didn't make it. And look, at the end of the day, don't you start. Don't you start.
No, I agree with you. But do you think the Everton players have bottled it this season?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, watching that there, they're cheating the manager and the supporters. To put in a performance like that against, right now, the best team in Europe, one of the best teams in the world, to make that a fight, to make it difficult. I know what you're saying, Graeme, about 17% possession, and you can't always play that type of game. Everton haven't won an away game since August, and they come here, probably the toughest place in Europe to go to now, and make that as difficult as they did for Liverpool. They need to look at themselves, some of those players. They're in the bottom 3 now, fighting for their lives, but they need to go in the bottom 3 to start fighting for their lives.
Do you agree, Kevin?
I do. I think what's happened at Everton Football Club with the playing staff has been nothing short of disgraceful. Look, there's been a lot of money spent on the squad. And when you spend a lot of money on the squad, you expect to be higher up the league. For a club like Everton to not win an away game since August, it's ridiculous. It really is. You pick up even a few draws, you're not in the position you're in. But, you know, they've been poor all season away from home.
That's 8 games in a row now away from home. They've lost the club record.
Equals the club record, it does indeed, which is going to be painful for Everton fans. But maybe they will take some pride and some heart from